Welcome to the Bloom House Podcast with Maris Gant and Andrea Oliver. Maris started a wedding planning business and grew as an entrepreneur. Andrea went the corporate event path. 10 years later, they're still learning from each other and comparing notes. From kids' playdates to ballrooms to boardrooms, they're still best friends, and they're sharing what they know, one episode at a time.
Hello, I'm Andrea Oliver.
I'm Maris Gant.
We are both professional event planners, and we're here to talk about planning a workshop.
Fun. I'm excited.
This is something we've been talking about. It's now been about 3 years.
It's probably been 5. We don't know.
We live in a community where there's a high ratio of nonprofit organizations in relationship to the size of the community. And they all have to raise money in order to do the good work that they're doing. And so we find that we're asked a lot to donate our time to help those nonprofits with their events. And, these are organizations that might plan somewhere between 1 and maybe up to 5 events a year. So they don't do it a lot, but they do it consistently. And we can't help all of them with every event, but we would love to. So especially there's the organizations where they're really near and dear to your heart and you want to do everything for them. So we came up with an idea to do a workshop to help point them in the right direction to finding the resources, match them up with some vendors that we know enjoy donating some services. And also, I feel like we kept finding that all of these nonprofits would come to the same handful of very prominent vendors and didn't necessarily know how many were out there. So, every vendor can donate a service once, maybe twice a year, but that's, they can't be donating their services. The same one can't be asked to donate their services over and over and over again. They just can't afford to do that. So The idea is to expand the knowledge of all of the people who are planning nonprofit events and give them some other choices and some better strategies and just get them connected with the people who can help them on a broader scale so that we aren't feeling stretched to help them with every actual event. So turning it into more of a consulting format with them instead of being asked to actually be the planner. So
Exactly.
Giving them tools.
Giving them the tools, yeah. That's the thought process behind the workshop.
Mm-hmm. And most of these people are very smart, capable, done it a couple of times. But I still think that there's always, from people who, the perspective of planning, I have 16 events that just got launched this week. So
Sometimes your job feels harder than mine.
Sometimes yours feels harder than mine.
It just depends on the day.
It depends on the day. So we do this continuously. So there's things that we take for granted that in my job, I just did a workshop for the event planners on campus. I'm a university planner.
Let's talk a little more about the workshop you just did.
Sure.
Because I feel like when you were talking about it, there were so many things that you said that I hadn't thought about, and well done you. Let's hear more about this.
So this is something that in my department we have been talking about for probably 2 years as well. During COVID went, okay, after COVID, we want to launch this. And we started concretely meeting and brainstorming about it with my team last summer. We had to push the date a couple of times, which gave us more time to be creative on it. I'm the kind of person that if I'm given more time, I'm going to keep tweaking it. I'm not going to say, oh, let's just do that thing we already decided on. So I kept coming back to it and rewriting my script and rethinking about how we were going to get this information across and asking partners that I work with what they would like to see. And so we really spent a long time doing research on how to help the people that want this information. And the goal really was to not waste anybody's time.
Right.
So the idea is, how do you present information that you want to convey in order to partly make your own life easier? There's a point at which if other people know how to do these things, you're not answering the same questions all through the year, they're able to come there and get all their questions answered in one day. So that actually makes everybody who's involved, makes their life a little easier. The same concept that we've been talking about with this workshop, or with the nonprofit workshop.
And this workshop, to clarify, you just did a workshop for event planners for a new event space, right? So that the planners would basically know how to work there.
Yep, it was for the space, but it was also for the whole campus. I did it as a passport around the world format where I had people at contact tables from different departments on campus where they could get their questions answered, from police, parking and transportation. Everybody always has parking questions. I thought they might not show up because they wouldn't want to be bombarded with questions. Parking is always a nightmare everywhere. Yeah, parking from all of the venues on campus, from the student union, which has very different needs, to the arts center, to this venue that we were in, which is our ballroom, and which is a new space. Also from our sustainability office to help people make sure that they're taking account how they can reduce waste and make the events more sustainable. I had our AV team. I had our other conference and event service department there. So it was a really broad spectrum event. And then I introduced all of those areas, gave some pointers on what we do. We had a station there as well with what we do, had some prizes. And then everybody went around and asked their questions. We were targeted with who we invited to this event. It wasn't about being exclusive, but we wanted it not to be watered down with people who were coming because we also released the new catering menu and there was snacks and drinks. So not just people who were coming just to eat food and have a good time, but people who were there because they actually wanted to learn. And I was really impressed with that matchup, that people were like, oh my gosh, this was great. I had a very specific question that's not answered on any website. And I got to ask all of those about this specific kind of event I do that nobody else plans one like this. Mm-hmm. So it's not in the FAQs anywhere. So that was really cool. I felt that was the best case scenario I could hope for. Nobody said, boy, that was a waste of my time. Mm-hmm. At the very least, they said the food was
that
good.
is the goal.
That's the goal.
Whether it's nonprofit, workshop, retreat.
Is to create something that is useful to everyone there and helpful and fun. And it was fun. I had fun. With this one with nonprofits, a lot of times what we see is some basic strategy steps that are missing at the out front with deciding whether you're running a stewardship event. And I deal closely with fundraising events in my day job as well, versus you do mostly wedding work. So I'm dealing with coming in, the first thing you do is talk about the strategy. Is this a stewardship event where the goal is to build community around your specific organization or entity? And you're going to lose money on it, and that's okay, because the outcome is not about actually raising money, versus like an auction ticketed gala where you are also expecting to come away having made money in addition to building community.
That's the number one question. Like, is this event to make money at the event, or is it to engage donors so that they donate money after the fact? And I feel like a lot of times the organizations don't necessarily ask themselves that up front.
Right. And then the work of running the numbers. If you know you need to make money on the event.
Or even break even.
What we find is that the organization will come in and say, this is how much our tickets always are. And then be shocked and asking for discounts on everything on every turn because they don't have enough money to make money on this event or break even. So to go through and ask quotes from all of the vendors involved and then decide your ticket price and decide if you need to adjust your goals accordingly or adjust your ticket price accordingly.
Exactly.
So that's a big one we hear all the time. And then I think the next step in that strategy at the front end is so much to do with how much do you want to put into the environment of this event? Mm-hmm. Are you keeping it as a more casual? Is it a formal event? And really knowing what your goals are from that.
Is it a themed event? How much are you spending on boosting the decor and the environment? Or are you just going to book a beautiful venue and say, good enough? Because sometimes that works. Because particularly if it's an audience that doesn't go to that venue very often, just picking a very nice venue can do a lot. Are you planning a workshop, retreat, or fundraising event and need a bit of guidance? Whether it be budget strategies, logistics, or ideas for presenting information to your guests in a fun and memorable way, we can help with that. We offer custom consulting services, meeting you where you are in your business journey. Simply fill out the contact form on our website, bloomhousenc.com, and we'll be in touch within a day to schedule a quick discovery Zoom and get you moving in the right direction right away.
So for our workshop, we had sort of a similar strategy. We can talk a little bit about what we had talked about with what we wanted to do. And I think I definitely, in putting together the one for campus, was pulling from what you and I had brainstormed for this event, this workshop, for sure. It's about pulling vendors from the community to come in and talk about what they've seen work and where they've seen things that you see when you work these events where common mistakes are made. So to come back with hey, I see this happen, but if you just did it like this, you would prevent this hiccup that I see over and over again. Or here's an example of something that works really well, and have a couple of different vendors from a different categories sort of present on just a few little pointers. And, we've talked about doing maybe a panel discussion, doing something interactive in order to let people ask their questions, and then have open time so that everybody can ask specific questions that they don't necessarily want to ask in front of a whole group.
Right. You said something earlier about how it was important to strategically match people up with the right people, whether it's a larger or smaller, no matter what your format is, breaking off into smaller groups and having that be strategic is important.
Absolutely. It's also in terms of the getting the right people in the room. So I feel like for anything that you are planning with any goals as an outcome other than it's going to be a fun party, the most important thing you can do is figure out who you need there. It's about getting the right group of people together. And then you get that kismet of where you're offering the services to the people who are looking for the services versus people going, I don't know why you're telling me this. This doesn't help me at all. I already knew this. Or my event doesn't have anything to do with this.
Right.
So I think that that's something that before we get this one up and running, we'll spend a little more time doing research on in the community to make sure that we have the right resources there. We've also both sat on different committees for local events, local music festivals, and other.
Oh yeah, how's that one going?
Good.
I feel like I'm not doing anything yet. But I'm glad that you're there. So basically,
same thing. I feel like
same thing.
They're gonna hit me up to do a bunch of stuff when it gets closer to the.
I feel the same way.
Date,
calm before the storm.
They just listed the festival lineup, so that's fun.
Yeah, all sorts of. Yeah, I mean, everything we're talking about sort of translates to all of this. Yeah, music festival too. I forgot about that.
That one I felt like I've been just learning mostly.
Same. Just I'm kind of fly on the wall. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be contributing yet, but I'll know it when I feel it. I feel like marketing is where I'm going to try to put my 2 cents in.
I think it's going to be the side activities that they're going to have me
That's
coordinate.
you. That's what, yeah, exactly.
It'll be fun.
No, that's why I thought you should be on that committee and I should be on the more like nuts and bolts committee, the less fun one. You're more fun.
That's great. But yeah, we both have always wanted to plan a festival and neither of us have done it. So we were like, ooh, let us sit in.
We also want to plan a retreat, but who knows?
During COVID, we talked about all of these dreams of planning retreats and workshops. And then we came out of COVID and
our busy.
Jobs made us plan work events.
Life came back. We want to get there so bad. And everybody needs it more than ever because COVID happened and we were like, we're changed. We're forever changed. We're going to slow down and focus on what's important. And then, nope. Just going back to work busier than ever.
Busier than ever.
What?
It wasn't the plan, but we're getting through it.
We're getting through it. It's fine. My goal this year is definitely to do less.
Yeah. That's been my New Year's resolution for 2 years.
It's never been that for me.
Right.
Mine is definitely to curb my shiny object syndrome. I'm like, I'm not going to start any new projects. I'm only going to finish projects that were previously started. No new projects this year.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
We're going to finish.
This is like the main one, actually.
Producing a podcast.
Yes.
That we've been working on for 3 years.
At least.
I love it.
It's just the doing it.
It's the doing it.
Repetition.
Rhythm.
Rhythm.
We're working on it. My other New Year's resolution this year was to stop saying I told you so.
Oh, you do that a lot.
I love to be right.
Whenever you do that, I go, do I do that? And I'm not sure if I do or not. But yeah, you're funny.
I love I told you so.
You love it. And that's why I don't even try to take it away from you. I'm like, she did. My husband does it too. You and my husband usually tell me the same thing.
I was like, I need to grow up and stop loving this so much.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm perfectly willing to admit I'm wrong. I'm okay with being wrong, but I really love it when I'm right.
Sometimes I don't, because I feel like I'm usually right about really harsh realities.
But anyway, This is one that I feel like I've enjoyed, finishing this workshop.
That was a big project for you. Did you say you worked on it for 9 months?
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't even tell me about it because you were nervous about it. Literally, this week was the first I had heard about this thing that you've been doing.
But it was I was like, I need this to happen, and then we can maybe launch ours.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. I needed my boss to hold me to it so that I couldn't put it off. I needed to have a date scheduled. Mm-hmm. And we scheduled a date for ours, but then we moved it.
Oh, I need to just go on the website. It's always like, coming soon. Workshops and retreats. Coming in 2023, coming in 2024. It's fine. We're young. We have time to do all of the things that we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing great.
We're doing great. In the meantime, we're working and playing and raising kids.
Raising kids, right.
Well, this was fun.
So fun. Okay, we're going to go do the rest of our Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to go hiking.
You're going hiking.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, I don't even know what, but I'm excited to have half a day to myself. So, all right, well, thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Look forward to hanging out again.
Thanks for listening to the Bloomhouse Podcast. Check out the show notes at bloomhousenc.com and connect with us on Instagram at bloomhousenc. We'll see you next time.